We tear everything down from the smallest inspection to like the biggest structural modification or repair to the aircraft.
There's no place else that does what we do to these aircraft, and that's because of the skill set that we have here.
We do maintenance, repair, and overhaul on a bunch of different weapon systems holistically.
Maintainers in general are the unsung heroes. People don't really think about us because we're just behind the scenes.
Well, without maintainers, it's just a really expensive static display. That was a little closer, but man, this is tougher than I thought.
The overall goal of this is how do we get better each and every day so we produce a jet, because it's not doing the warfighter any good when it's here. We got to push it out. 6,900 Americans out here that are just as patriotic as anyone else.
I had no idea what it would take to bring a jet back to life when the worst thing happens to it. And that's why we're at Hill Air Force Base at the Aircraft Battle and Damage Repair Facility, where the men and women not only train, but this is the group that goes out there and repairs aircraft when the worst thing happens. And it just so happens I am willing to lend a helping hand in their training aspect in a way that you might not expect.
Robins Air Force Base and Tinker Air Force Base were their own centers. That's where ALC originally came from, the Air Logistics Center. Robins is the avionics center of excellence. Almost all engines are supported at Tinker. So we've got our own things that we do, and each center kind of did their own thing. And it was a 2-star boss. They ran the base and everything on it. That person had total control over everything that happened here. The main issue with that was if you'd been to one center, you'd been to one center, because they operated too independently of each other and didn't share information very well. So they came up with this the 5-center construct, which became 6 centers later, in which the sustainment center was born, and then they just kind of reorganized. Of the 3 depots, we are the one that produces the most commodities. We do maintenance, repair, and overhaul on a bunch of different weapon systems holistically. And so you're thinking F-16, F-35, F-22. We just finished our last A-10 as a whole weapon system that will come in through here. And that's just part of what we do. But then we are doing our commodities. So think line replaceable units. We are the landing gear center of excellence for the Air Force. Almost all landing gear are supported here. Think of a box that's in a jet, like when we open the panels up, you go, there's a box right there, I'm gonna pull that out. That's a commodity.
Okay.
Landing gear is a commodity. Engine, even though it's kind of it's almost its own MDS, it's still a commodity.
Okay.
And so it's something you can remove from the airplane and put it back in. When the sustainment center stood up, one of the things that we were trying to do was go, all right, how do we kind of reframe the purpose of the ALCs and the other organizations that are within the center and force them to be more production oriented? And so we came up with the AFSC way is what they called it. And it became then known as AOP, so Art of the Possible. And you'll see this little symbol all around, you see it on the walls. And it's really getting after making sure that everybody in the center knows what our common goal is. They're right in the middle. People, process, right? All of those things come together to produce a product. And how do we do that in the fastest way possible? And that's basically what this is.
Another thing that's really helpful too is with that relationship that we have with our universities or even with our tech colleges, is that they can train our folks up before they even come here. So if they set that curriculum up, have our folks go through it, be trained up, they're ready to go when they hit the production floor.
So the fact that this organization can flex to do those workloads and be very successful at them, that's what I'm super proud of. They do amazing work. Whatever we give them, they can do it.
We just stumbled upon something that I think is pretty cool. I think you'll enjoy. Here at Hill, F-16s are getting a lot of modifications, a lot of work. One of which is the service life extension program. And they're actually shooting a jet to mill where the wing attaches. Something rather unique, really refined. And we're gonna dive in a little bit deeper today on what it takes to put these wings back on, keep this jet flying for another 30 or 40 years.
Paul Shepard, the lead industrial engineering technician. So this is our maintenance facility where like we tear everything down, kind of go through everything down to the smallest inspection, all the way up to like the biggest structural modification or repair to the aircraft. When the plane gets here, we build what we call an induction or a visit. And as we do that, it puts everything onto the aircraft, into the system, and everything's on there for the mechanics. Our system, using Art of the Possible, is designed to identify constraints or ways that we can improve. Every one of them comes in here as, we call them standard work packages or different requirements, right? We have 60-day machines where they're just coming here to get some paint and rolling back out. We even have 540-day machines where we're stripping it down like you see over here. We take the wings, we take everything off. Our big workload, right? Service life extension program. The whole goal is to make these things fly longer, better, safer, and more efficiently, right? So we tear it completely down, find all the problems we can find, fix it up as best we can, safely as we can, get it back to the unit and support overall readiness.
And for me, this is really cool. This is 91376. I have a lot of hours in this jet, and to see it completely stripped down is just absolutely wild. These 16 bolts, you have 8 on the top and 8 on the bottom. This is all that's holding the wing on. Again, it is really impressive just to see the level of attention and detail that goes in to keep these birds flying. Again, this jet, near and dear to my heart, a lot of time flying across the country, flying at air shows across the world. Pretty cool to see it. When it rolls out of here, it'll be like a brand new jet, I'm sure.
My name is David Heyer. I am the F-16 flight test supervisor. My role in the depot entails ensuring that the aircraft that we receive from the units ultimately remain airworthy. Here at the depot, we have the tools, we have the skill to be able to dig so deep into this aircraft that we can really do anything to it. On the production line, they finish up the machine, and what they do over here is very machine specific. When all those machines finally reach a common point, that's when flight test becomes involved. So I get the aircraft pretty much when they're in the same state. No engine in them, no seat and canopy in them, but everything else is all done. We get the engine installed, we get the seat and canopy put back on there. We take it, we flip all the switches, we push all the buttons, we turn on all the lights, we light off the afterburner. We have a specific facility in which we can tie this airplane down and go full afterburner, verifying the engine operates in better than standard conditions. Here we can keep people in a role long enough that they actually become the subject matter experts. So that's what makes us the world expert on F-16s.
So when you hear the word landing gear, you're probably like me. I don't take my landing gear for granted, but you just expect it to work. We're now getting a behind the scenes look at the landing gear facility here at Hill Air Force Base, where 17 different weapon systems roll through here.
My name's Tad Driscoll. I'm the production flight chief over all this area right here in the landing gear 532nd facility. This is the largest facility of its kind in the world. We support 17 different aircraft mainframes. What's unique about this shop is that we do not work nothing in this facility cradle to grave. We bring it in, an area will do disassembly. It'll go down through paint and CAD and zinc nickel strip. It'll go to an area called FP&I, or fluorescent penetrant inspection, eddy current, and check for concentricity. And then we go to an area called E&I. That's our evaluation and inspection department.
So what we do in this building, almost all of the parts in the building, majority of the components and assembly components will come through multiple grind shops and multiple machine shops. So for example, this is a B-52. We come in and do various repairs through all the different bores, and we oversize them due to damage, corrosion, anything that reduces the service life of the part, we can clean it up. These bolts and pins, they have a tight tolerance, so we have to bring it back to that tolerance.
This is where we do most of our fast fighter workload. This is the internal parts of this gear right here. So these are all the things that as the mechanic's going through, he'll put all these internal parts inside the piston and the outer to build up the gear. Everything's done on what we call an EWCD. It's electronic work control document. With that system, we can track where they're at throughout the whole entire facility. So if we're looking for an F-15, we can find every single component that belongs to it. Though as it comes in, it got disassembled this way. It went through all the back shops. We reassemble it, the same gear, because we marry everything up. Everything's lot controlled.
It is impressive to see the scale and the scope and the size to keep the landing gear functioning. You can't just go buy this stuff off the shelf, and it falls on these great Americans, on their shoulders, the work they put in to make it all happen, from ripping it all apart, rebuilding it, repainting it, putting it all back together again, and making sure it can go out there, and the planes that have been flying for 20, 30, 40, and even 50 years, like a B-52, can go out there and safely operate. Again, if you don't have your landing gear, you're not going very far.
So there's 3 different variants of the F-35. You have A's, B's, and C's, and all have their respective services. Part of what we do here is modifications to the aircraft. The workload can be very unique between each aircraft. When we're looking at numbers over the last 8 years or so, there'd only been like 4 aircraft that had ever came in with the exact same work package on. This is where this program is a bit unique compared to all the other airframes.
For the F-35 program, every aircraft comes in with a different package that needs to be done, different modifications. Aircraft set up on machines, so we have a gated process to bucketize the work, from stripping the aircraft when it comes in to start doing modifications and building it back up to get it back out to the warfighter. Because we have all 3 variants here, we have a lot of support equipment and everything specific to all those variants that you don't really see in the other weapon systems. And then also training. Even though they're all F-35s, those variants are very different. Swinging gear on an A model is a lot different than swinging gear on a C model.
Is the only place in the United States where all 3 legs of the nuclear triad are serviced. So we do ICBM Minuteman III, and then we're going to move Sentinel. We work on the Navy Trident missiles, and when I say work on, we take them out and we either chop them up or blow them up out on the range out there. And then we've got the outcomes that work in here. So we got them all right here, and it's the only place on the planet that happens.
AMARG, everybody calls it the boneyard, but really it's what we're using today to survive because of these piece parts issues, how they help us there.
For the 309s, EDMX, ABDR, which is Aircraft Battle Damage Repair. So what you're seeing here is basically damages that we've put on this aircraft so we can train and practice for real world issues that come up.
For the fighter side, more or less, right? Like this is like the focus
Right.
in this squadron. Like, yeah, fighter jet takes battle damage, has a gear up, landing, takes a bird strike, all the weird stuff that you don't plan for, like you got to be able to fix it.
Yep.
It's like an auto body shop on steroids.
Right. Yeah. So here at Hill, we cover F-16s, F-35s, F-22s, and A-10s. So we basically just simulate battle damage. Most of the time with an axe, we'll take a shot at it, hit it, and then we have a TO that'll tell us what we can and can't do for this repair, and it depends on the zone and section of the aircraft. So this one we were able to fix. It'll tell you row spacing and everything like that. And then also it'll tell you if the aircraft is going to be degraded in any way.
Welcome to our squadron. We are the EDMX. To walk you through it once you get ready to hit, go ahead and channel all the anger that you've, kind of set aside, and think of this kind of like a rage room, but on an aircraft.
It's really tough for me. I was like, hit the F-16, like I can't do that.
Right.
There's an A-10 sitting right here.
Everyone loves the A10.
I know,
now.
which the amount of flack I'm going to catch for this is
Right.
going to be, but the A10 is meant to take a beating.
Yes, it is. It's funny because the difference between, for ABDR purposes, between an A10 and a 16 is completely different. You have a lot more leeway on the A10 than you do on a 16. So
I would believe that.
the A10 is one that if you decide to hit any of them, the A10 could take the beating. For
Okay,
sure.
yeah,
So-
fair enough.
We have our members take this axe right here. This pointy end we like to use as a simulated bullet
Okay,
or any kind of projectile.
all right.
It'll create a nice little puncture, and then those same members will then fix whatever damage that they cause.
That's awesome. Oh! I mean, the A10 can take a beating. I just need to go to the gym, I guess, you know?
Make a different spot if you want.
Oh, man, look at that.
Right on the 16.
Oh, I don't know I don't know if I could do that. You know,
16s might be your babies, but they, at some point in time, they take damage, sir.
right? You know?
At some point in time.
I'm doing this for the greater good.
If you think about it, you making the damage allows us to be able to fix it. So it's training for us by you creating damage.
They're making me feel a lot better
Yeah.
about all this.
There you go.
So yeah, now we're gonna do some battle damage repair, right?
Yes. For sheet metal practices, there's specific things that you are taught and ingrained in you. As long as it's covering, that's one thing, and that's something that we have to overcome to make it work faster. It's not at its full capacity. It is literally a band-aid to get it home. The concern is more of making sure the folks on the aircraft make it home safely.
It's impressive work, and I don't think most people realize that
Oh yeah.
we obviously have the skill set and need it.
People don't really think about us because we're just behind the scenes, but I think we're very important.
Well, without maintainers, it's just a really expensive static display.
Yes.
The overall goal of this is how do we get better each and every day so we produce a jet, because it's not doing the warfighter any good when it's here. All right, we got to push it out. We've been trying to kind of reframe what this depot is. Everyone calls it the fighter depot, which as a fighter guy I appreciate, but I really want to start reframing us as America's depot, right? We are the backbone for readiness for the Air Force. And so we need to be not just the fighter depot, we need to be America's depot, because we're supporting every airframe out there. Every airframe is important for what it does. We're America's depot. Some extremely patriotic individuals working hard every day to make sure readiness happens.